Thank you, friends. Well, you look amazing. And, you know, sometimes as the only Green MP so far, it can be a bit lonely in there. But when I look out at all of you and see how big and brave and beautiful our movement is, then I feel inspired every day. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for using your power and your voices to demand our right to a livable future. And we're here because we've got three urgent and clear demands of government and ministers in that place. And you know, those three demands are very simple. The first is, please, please tell the truth. Tell the truth about the true scale of the ecological and climate emergency. And tell the truth about the real solutions, not the false solutions. And tell the truth about climate justice. And our second message is to stop aiding and abetting the climate criminals, those fossil fuel giants who are reaping obscene profits while others simply cannot afford to put food on the table. And our third message is very, very simple. It is simply to keep all new fossil fuels where they belong, in the ground. But you know, last year the UK had its first ever red warning for heat. Pakistan baked in record-breaking heat waves and then drowned in monsoon floods that damaged or destroyed 1.8 million homes. The waters in lakes and rivers from China to the United States have dried up, and droughts set the stage for wildfires, crops failed, and food insecurity intensify. That is the truth that this government needs to tell. That is the truth that they need to be acting on now. Friends, we know that 1 million species are at risk of extinction globally. That in my lifetime alone, the world has lost 60% of the mass of mammals and birds and fishes and reptiles which we are so blessed to share this precious planet with. In just the briefest blink of an evolutionary eye, we are systematically destroying the life that lives alongside us. Here in the UK, almost half of the biodiversity of these wonderful wild isles have been destroyed since the Industrial Revolution. That's more than any other wealthy country. So we're here to say that the truth is that our only home is not only on fire, but it is being bulldozed before our very eyes. We are here to say that, you know, the government keeps talking about net zero by 2050, but not only do they have no plan to reach it, it's in any case a completely inadequate target. For a country of the richness of the UK, there's no justification to have net zero by 2050, either morally or scientifically. It ignores our historic emissions. It ignores the racial legacies of colonialism and slavery. It relies on not counting the goods that we import. It relies on significant offsetting, colonizing anew more land overseas. It relies on further inequity. It relies on technology that frankly hasn't even been invented yet. And it ignores the fact that the UK has been one of the world's biggest emitters, that we started the modern fossil fuel age with the Industrial Revolution. And that, friends, that means that we bear a much bigger and disproportionate responsibility for the climate chaos around us. So that's why I say that the climate crisis is a racial justice crisis. That's why I say, and we say, that climate justice must be front and center of all climate action. And it's why we say that the UK must pay climate reparations. Because I would argue that here in the UK, a rich, developed country, net zero by 2050 isn't climate action. It is a crime against humanity. Real climate action is real zero by 2030. It's the UK doing far more, doing its fair share, reducing climate emissions by 200% below 1990 levels by 2030. That is what justice looks like in the fifth wealthiest country in the world that's grown rich at the expense of others. Real climate action is the urgent and radical transformation of our economic system. So it's no longer obsessed with the pursuit of endless economic growth on a finite planet, and that instead it is repurposed for the pursuit of well-being for all the species with whom we share this precious, life-giving planet. Yet none of that is possible whilst the climate criminals are allowed to operate with impunity, whilst the fossil fuel giants keep on polluting. We know that many of them have known about their own climate wrecking for over half a century, and for years they've been subsidized to drill by successive governments. And now they're reaping those obscene profits. That money, those billions of money that this government is handing to those fossil fuel companies, that is the money that could be paying our teachers, it could be paying our doctors, it could be paying our civil servants. The money is there if we choose to use it. That's why I say it is criminal that this government is not making those choices. That's why I say the banks financing climate chaos are criminals. The advertising agencies that promote gas-guzzling SUVs and frequent flying are climate criminals. The media barons that push denial and delay and disinformation are climate criminals. And the government ministers who are their accomplices, aiding and abetting their crimes, are climate criminals too. So that is why we are here to say we've had enough. We want fossil fuels kicked out of politics, kicked out of our economy, kicked out of our energy system for good, for our children and our grandchildren, for the millions of people all around the world already being impacted by climate chaos. We want to embrace a livable future of clean, green, affordable renewables, warm and comfortable homes, clean air, clean water, skilled and stable jobs. We want a future where the songs of the swifts and the house martins, the greenfinches, the cuckoos and the nightingales fill our skies again. And a future where fossil fuels stay in the ground and where the UK says no to any new oil and gas licenses, and no, above all, to Rosebank. Right now, you'll know that ministers are deciding whether or not to green light drilling at that biggest undeveloped oil and gas field in the North Sea. If Rosebank goes ahead, it would create more climate pollution than the 28 lowest income countries put together, more than is created by 700 million people in those countries in a whole year. Friends, we chose a different future when we stopped plans to drill at Cambo, and we can do the same again. I'm pledging to take non-violent direct action to stop the drilling, and I hope that you will join me too. So friends, let's stop the North Sea becoming home to yet another climate crime scene. Let's make sure this government keeps fossil fuels in the ground, and let's stop Rosebank. But friends, I have one more thing to ask of you, if you will indulge me. I started by saying that I'm the only Green Party member of Parliament so far, and I hope you won't mind me pointing out that I think we need a few more. We need those Green MPs to keep up the pressure for action on the climate and the ecological emergency, to be raising our voices inside that place, as well as on our streets, in our communities and in our workplaces. And one of the stepping stones for that is getting more Green councillors elected on May the 4th. There are different ways of rebelling. Voting can be a rebellion too, so please go out there. And alongside everything else you're doing, please do consider putting that cross in that green box and getting more green voices everywhere that it matters.